It's really hard to talk about situation nowadays here because yes, I'm Russian, and now people there in Ukraine under bombs, and of course I feel guilt for it too because I'm Russian, and there is a guilt, real guilt of it, because I'm from this country, it's my country. I'm trying to say some words about the situation in connection with my exhibition. There could have been one more work at my exhibition Promzona. We did it not include it because there was not enough space for it. But now this very work seems to be the most topical. It is named anonymously. Many people raise their hands to support one of the party and government decisions. Everyone votes for. They have only one source of information, and its justice cannot be questioned. This source is a voice of the state. It says that there are enemies all around, and that Soviet people must unite in order to counter the threat and to build a brighter future for themselves and for their children. This is wartime rhetoric. My exhibition is dedicated to Soviet huge industrial plants. Maybe next slide. Those plants were also built for a better future. People lived in cramped barracks, sometimes even in dugouts. Next slide, please. Like this. But they believed that they were doing a great job altogether. During Second World War, people united as never before. In time of war, one cannot doubt, one cannot consider his private interests to be more important than the interests of the state. I would call the post-war period as a phantom war. People continued to live in the paradigm of the war. My aunt was born after the war. In the film Subjects of Memory, which you can see on this exhibition, she tells about her permanent nightmares. She is surrounded by the enemies, the Germans, and she tries to hide from them. Today, the symbols of that war have become so in demand in Putin's Russia again. The authorities are using those symbols to rally people around the fictional enemy. Russian journalist and Nobel laureate Dmitry Muratov said in one of his interviews that Putin is still fighting on the ideological fields of the Second World War. He does not consider it is over. Those ideas are shared by the older generations of Russians. Many of them support today's military aggression. They grew up in a situation of a phantom war, so they are not afraid of sanctions, and they are ready to be patient for the sake for a big idea, no matter that this idea is contrary to common sense. Maybe next slide. Let me quote one of the conservative Russian ideologists, Alexander Prokhanov. Yesterday he said, "The Russian people will endure everything. They will leave cities for fields, forests. They will be picking mushrooms, berries and nuts. In times of great sorrow, Russian people are ready to turn into chipmunk people, hamster people. They will be storing all sorts of fruits and onions for the winter. In 2017, next. It was yes, it was 100 years anniversary of socialist revolution. Maybe next one. Yes. Then a lot of time capsuled, planted in the United USSR were opened. In their messages, Soviet people turned to the people of the future. They wrote, "We know that there are no more wars in your world, that you fly to other planets and explore space. Don't forget about us. After all, we were the people who built this beautiful future for you." Here, for example, is an excerpt from such a letter. It was written in Ukraine in 1967. "You never had to chant, 'Shame on the Israeli aggressors.' You've never had to protest the criminal war in Vietnam, read news about provocations in revolutionary Cuba. How far away those events are from you. Young crowd of 2017, we are sure that you have justified the trust your heroic predecessors have invested in you, that you have created a new world." Now we can see, maybe next, yes, it's a very popular meme with Yuri Gagarin, the first cosmonaut. He is calling for us from 60s. Now we can see that those dreams did not come true. What's more, they turned into something opposite. Instead of peace, there is a terrible war. My exhibition tells about the devastation of the Soviet dreams of Soviet people. There you can find some episodes about the cruelty of the system against an ordinary man, the man who voted for and supported his authorities. We can also see great environmental consequences and the ruins, maybe next one, demonstrate, and next to, and ruins demonstrate dire economic consequences. A few years ago, I attended a meeting of veterans of chemical plants in Dzerzhinsk. I was struck by how those people live within the Soviet paradigm. During this meeting, they were singing songs glorifying their factories, the factories that no longer exist. It was slide before, maybe it was in the beginning with that people. Before? No. In the beginning of my presentation. No, next. Next. Yes. It's from that meeting. That factories that no longer exist, they did not want to believe in the obvious that the factories no longer exist. Similarly, they don't want to know the truth about what is happening today in Mariupol and Kiev. Now I clearly see that this is not democracy, and not even love for the motherland or national history. It is just infantilism, an unconditional truth to the leader who makes the decisions. Orders are not discussed. It's the paradigm of war. It excludes doubts and discussions. I think that it was this infantilism combined with the belief in a special path and mission that led Russia to disaster. Not so long ago, it was large exhibition in the Tretyakov Gallery, Mindfold Unity European Contemporary Art. There was a sculpture by Fernando Sanchez Castillo, based on a famous photography of 1936. Maybe yes, before. Yes, it's a photography on the right side. One man did not raise his hand to salute Hitler. Presumably, his name was August Landmesser. The artist made 5,000 copies of the sculpture, and it was possible to take one of the copies with you. The sculpture inspires me a lot. I always have it with me. Yeah. Thank you.